Hey, welcome everybody. I'm Nitzan Mosery, the Traveling Investor, and we're here today with another edition of the Traveling Investor Show live on Facebook and YouTube. And this is where you're going to learn how to master your mind, body, and wallet. And before I forget, let's say hi to Master Yoda behind me. This is a one-of-a-kind piece that was painted by Agata Ren, and it was made just for me because I love what he says, his motto. And we all know what he says to Luke Skywalker, right? Do or do not, there is no try. And that's how I live my life, and that's how I raise my children. Do it. Do it, do it, do it. Just like Nike says, just do it. And today we've got a great guest on the show. Someone who I've gotten to know very well throughout the past few years, done some business with them, continuously doing business with them. He's running a successful real estate company, and he's just a great guy, and he had a newborn baby as well, and we're going to learn a lot about him. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about him before we bring him on the show. His name is Adam Balsinger, and he's a real estate entrepreneur and the co-founder of two, not one, but two thriving real estate companies. One is called North South LLC, and the other one is called Three Oaks Management LLC, and he's one of the Oaks from those Three Oaks. His Adam's integrity and unwavering persistence, combined with his personal mission to benefit everyone with whom he comes into contact, have led to the growth of both businesses. Adam, what's happening, my friend? How are you?
I am exceptionally well today. Nitzan, thanks so much for the great introduction. You may, in fact, hear that little baby screaming. I just heard her in the other room. So
that's awesome. How old is she now?
She will be 6 months old on Sunday.
6 months old. Wow, that's a beautiful age, man. That's when they just love you and giggle and just want all the attention.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, every time she wakes up, there's a big, enormous smile on her face. So
isn't that great?
It's been a lot of fun. She's our first, as you know. So I'm sure things will, ask me in like 12 years how I feel, and it might be a little different. But so far, being a dad has been awesome. Really fun.
Fantastic. When was she born? You said 6 months ago, right? So we're what? That's November, October?
Yeah, so September 20th was the day that she was born. It was actually the anticipated due date, 9/20/2020, which is kind of ironic, right? And my wife and I actually got married on 9/18, so it should make it easy for me to remember both of those. Wow, which is always good because I stink when it comes to remembering dates.
That's great. But your wife and you weren't married 2 days before she was born.
That is correct. We were married 2 years and 2 days. I had to think about that for a second. No, actually, so we got married on 9/18/18, and then the baby was born on 9/20/20.
That's awesome. That's great. Easy numbers to remember, man. Easy numbers.
Hopefully, yeah, there's problems, right? If I can't remember those, I got bigger issues.
Absolutely. So my oldest daughter was born September 8th, and my youngest daughter was born August 11th. So I always confuse them. I'm like, oh, September 11th. Like,
yeah.
No, September 11th. Definitely not September. So Adam, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? What were you doing before you started your real estate business, and what led you into the real estate world?
So I've kind of really always had a entrepreneurial spirit. Right out of college, so I'm from the greater Philadelphia area. I live with my family now in Charlotte, North Carolina. I went to Penn State University. When I graduated from Penn State, I had really no idea what I wanted to do. I know, both my parents worked. I led a really comfortable, great childhood, kind of middle class, upper middle class. My dad was in finance and accounting. My mom was a school teacher, elementary school teacher. And things were great, but they both kind of hated their jobs. So I never really, I was always kind of envious growing up of the kids that knew exactly what they wanted to do. Like, I want to be whatever. I just was kind of always like, why do I want to make a lot of money? And I don't really want to work. I don't want to like hate my job. That was kind of all I knew, right? So, I studied marketing. Business just made sense to me in terms of what I wanted to pursue. But I could have picked any of the majors. Like, it didn't really make much of a difference, So I got started. My first job out of college was in sales. I just stumbled into a place, I kind of, with my degree, I wanted to be like making the funny Budweiser commercials that aired during the Super Bowl. That's what I kind of envisioned with my marketing degree.
Right.
And, at the time I graduated in 2006, and it was like, to get an entry level marketing job, you needed marketing or sales experience. So it was weird. It was like, well, entry level, isn't that supposed to be no experience? So I wound up kind of pursuing sales, not because I wanted to, but because I kind of needed sales experience to get a marketing job. So, I interviewed at this place, and I knew nothing really about what the company was doing. They were like selling for like Verizon. But the woman that ran the company was a, mid to late 20s, woman. Seemed like really confident, seemed like she really had her act together. I'll watch my language here since we're live. So she just was really like this impressive young businesswoman. And so I figured, like, I don't really know what I'm doing, but she like has it together. And so she, let's see what I can do. And so I wound up, my very first job, I was selling phone and internet service door to door, residentially, cold calling, totally commission based. And I sucked at it. I was not good. So, I learned it, got consistent in it after a while. I wound up moving to New York with that business. Fast forward about 2 years, I wound up opening essentially the exact same business where I was representing Verizon, and I built a team, and we were going out and doing sales for them residentially. That business wound up taking me to Detroit, where I was representing AT&T. I then moved to Chicago, where I was representing Quill, which is an office subsidiary or a warehouse subsidiary of Staples. So we were selling office supplies business to business. I represented Culligan for a little while, selling water filtration systems business to business. And then I also represented a regional energy supplier. We were selling electricity business to business. So all kinds of different sales, team building, entrepreneurial business building experience with that. At one point, we were the #1 vendor in the country. I had over 35 sales reps trudging around Chicago in February on commission. If you've ever been to Chicago in February, it's miserable.
It is.
You like choke on cold air as the wind comes off Lake Michigan. Like, it is brutally cold there. I shut that business down after a while because I just never really saw much of an out. I was the business, and I was 24/7. I didn't really know too many people because I had moved so much with the business. The people I hung out with outside of work were the people that worked for me. So it was like, even when I was out, I was like Adam, the guy that like they worked for. So I got kind of burned out, shut that business down, worked for a couple different companies here and there, but I never really, after you run your own company for a while, like going and getting pigeonholed into one role, working for somebody else, I hated it. I absolutely hated it. And so I was always trying to figure out what my next move was going to be. And I had, while I lived in Chicago, kind of developed the real estate bug because my one landlord had, I found out, bought this house from an older lady, and he converted it into 4 bi-level, 3-bedroom, 2-bath apartment units. I was there with 2 guys that I had worked with renting. I took out my landlord to lunch and was just like, explain this to me. How does this work? How did you find this place? How did this all, So, he kind of walked me through everything. And from that point on, I was really interested in real estate. And then the flipping house TV shows like started to gain popularity. I was always watching those. So I wound up moving back to Pennsylvania. I was selling software for a applicant tracking system, CRM company. And I wound up investing in a house flipping guru training, right? Like $30K to go on a bus tour and learn how to flip houses.
Oh,
And,
wow.
of course it's made to sound like it's going to be like super easy, give me 30 grand and like, you're going to be, a millionaire house flipper in a year. And, it didn't work that way, obviously. I flipped houses for about 3 years. I always had trouble doing enough volume to make like really like real money doing it. I was paying bills, but I wasn't setting the world on fire, and I was working a ton. And, the struggle was always finding enough good deals to be able to flip. And so, I managed construction. I GC'd our own projects for an entire year, trying to save a little bit of money on the construction in order to be able to do more, save money. But I spent like all my time running to Home Depot and Lowe's and picking out materials and, running to the ATM to pay the guys in cash because they didn't have bank accounts. I couldn't cut them a check, like just crazy stuff. And so, I decided that wasn't the way to do more volume after a year. And then I started doing some direct to seller marketing, direct mail, bandit signs, stuff like that. And then the idea was really that I was just going to feed my own fix and flip machine. And got a couple leads I didn't really like to, as flips for me. So I had bought from wholesalers before, so I knew that I could assign the contract. So I figured, all right, well, let's just monetize these and move on. And my first wholesale deal was horrible. I made like $470 some dollars. Like, it was pathetic. It was so Nitzan, get this, right? So my end buyer was arrested leading up prior to the settlement date.
Oh,
so
wow.
I'm calling this guy left and right, like title's finally ready, right? And I'm like calling and calling. I can't get a hold of the guy. I don't even remember how this happened that I found out that he had been arrested. So somehow I got in touch with his sister, who put me in touch with his mother. We had to get this guy while in prison to sign power of attorney docs so that his mother could get money out of his bank account and then sign on the settlement docs for him.
Oh, wow.
And I did all that for less than $500, like just such a train wreck. 2 or 3 deals later, I did a $30,000 wholesale deal off of a bandit sign. And to this day, it was probably the easiest deal I've ever done. Like, piece of cake, got on the phone, super motivated, great, sunshine came down, right? And at the time, I was trying to make 30 to 40K on a fix and flip. And, Philadelphia, like, homes were built really long ago in most instances. Philly's an old city. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times we were doing gut renovations. You're talking a 6, 7, 8, 9 month project to maybe make, 30, 40 grand. And so the fact that I was able to do that on a wholesale deal in like 35 days, it was just, okay, I'm shifting the business totally towards wholesale. And, it's easier said than done. It took, several years to get to the point where, and I'm still not totally there. I'm getting closer and closer to being more hands off on that business. I really, with the way that things are going right now, I really envision by the end of this year that I'll be able to be, maybe 5 hours a week in that business, and that business will really, the team that we've been able to put in place, I think we'll be able to run it. But so, the whole reason I was doing all this was not to do wholesales forever or do fix and flips forever. It was to stack cash and then buy rental real estate, income producing property, right? I wanted to be the guy that I was renting from when I was like 26 or 24 or whatever. So I had built up a portfolio of about 18 doors, like single families, a duplex, 2 triplexes. And I'm thinking, 18 doors, you're going to make, we're thinking about, rents give or take are different, but we're thinking that we're going to make a couple $100 per door. And, I'm thinking going into it, a portfolio of like 30 doors, and I'm like straight financial freedom, here I am, right? And it's not the case, man. You know, when you have notes on properties and you're refinancing and pulling out to go buy more, and then you've got unexpected, you know, crap that comes up, and oh, we got to replace this roof, and this boiler went, and blah, 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 blah. So it was just like, holy crap, man, I'm going to need like 100 and I'm going to need like 300 of these in order to really be financially free. And I'm going to be dead by the time I can get to that point, right? Like, talk about the slow road to financial freedom. I used to say, like, I'll be 65 and retired by the time I'm able to retire with real estate. And so it just didn't make any sense doing it that way. You know, I still was a really firm believer in real estate as a wealth building vehicle. And the correct avenue for me to financial freedom. You know, I'm not a coder. I don't know how to, you know, like develop an app or whatever. I'm not super creative, but I can take something, learn how to do it once, and then just regurgitate that thing ad infinity. So it really just became about, like, how do I scale this? How do I buy bigger properties? How do I do this faster? And that led me to multifamily apartments. You know, I invested in another guru program. I'm easily 6 figures in real estate education, like, no joke. I have like my master's degree in real estate guru programs.
Let me ask you something. So you said you're 6 figures into the real estate education, right? Mm-hmm. But this is an education that feeds you, that gives you an actual return on your investment.
Yep.
Right? It's not like a lot of these college degrees where you go to college, you spend $100,000, $200,000, you walk out and you're flipping burgers.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is an education that you can actually go out and use day one and make money.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, look, I think there's a lot of people that paid for that guru program that are currently flipping burgers today, you know?
Sure, not everybody's going to go out and take action and do what they're told to do, right?
I was just going to say, I think the biggest thing, you know, because I run a meetup here in Charlotte for multifamily, and so many people are like, well, what do I do? How do I get started? What do I do this? And I think the biggest difference needs from people that I've seen come into real estate and do well, people that have just spun their wheels and never done anything, is just the ability. You nailed it, man. It's taking action. It's the willingness to fall on your face and not have it prevent you from getting up and continuing to push forward. Like, it sounds so silly, but I really believe that's the big differentiator between people that become wildly successful in not only real estate, but really any business that somebody would choose to run. I think that is a totally, like, defining characteristic of the successful small business owner or entrepreneur, is just the willingness to look dumb and say, I know that I don't know everything, but I'm going to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was you one time that said at an event that I was at that the true definition of an entrepreneur is somebody that jumps off of a cliff and worries about how they're going to build the plane, like, on the way down.
On the way down. That's right. Absolutely. And that's what entrepreneurship is, right? Chris Sanchez says, great content. Thank you both for taking your time to spread such useful information. Well, hey, Chris, thanks for listening, and we appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, but it's true.
Chris just bought me dinner when I was down in Atlanta on Tuesday.
Yeah, there you go. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. But it's true, right? Entrepreneurship is just exactly what you said, right? It's the ability to remove the ego, to say, I don't know, and it's okay to make mistakes, right? You know, Rocky Balboa, right, in one of his movies where he's talking to his kid, he goes, you know, one of the great lines of the movies is, you know, he goes, nothing is going to hit you harder than life.
Yep.
But it's not how many times you get knocked down. It's being able to get back up and to continue moving forward, right? Yep. Because you've got knocked down. I got knocked down. People laugh at us. People told us we weren't going to be successful. What are you doing? Don't spend money over there. They're just going to rip you off. We heard all of that BS running in the background of our heads and our voices, but we held strong to our guns. And we said, you know what? I'm going to continue moving forward, right? In my case, right, I don't have, you graduated from Penn State. I never graduated college. I went to college. I partied in college. I never graduated, right? So I don't have anything to fall back on. This is what I do, right? And you got to go in at it 100% and not worry about what anybody else is going to say or think, right? We have Saket here who says entrepreneurship is keeping the ego strong while falling on the face. Absolutely. Absolutely. So
that's how I get my hair to do this, is all the times I fell on my face.
Humble arrogance. Absolutely. Thank you, Saket.
I love
Absolutely.
it. Yeah.
So all right. So let's talk about, you said a couple of things that I want to dive into a little bit more, right? For people that are just getting started in real estate and, they're looking to wholesale, they're looking to get into multifamily, because it doesn't matter what part of real estate you're in. If you're wholesaling, if you're fix and flip, if you're doing multifamily, self-storage or whatnot, you can make a lot of money. There's a lot of shiny pennies, right? And what I've noticed also is that when someone starts, they do 1 or 2 wholesale deals and, I'm going to go flip a house. I'm going to buy a multifamily. I'm going to do this. And they're never really becoming the expert in one thing. And what I liked about what you said was that your company, North South LLC, your wholesaling company, which, you founded 6 years ago, right? You kind of fell into it, right? You kind of learned as you went along.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're looking, you said, which is awesome, that by the end of this year, you want to be able to put, you're going to be putting maybe 5 hours a week into this company that's reaping you a lot of rewards. What are some of the systems and processes, or what did you learn, and how did you learn, or let me rephrase it. What was it that you learned about your business that was able to take you from a place where it was just you to now going, I'm going to be hands off? What was that process? What can you share with our listeners that helped you go that route?
It was painful.
Right?
So I'm a stubborn person. So, and that's probably a trait that a lot of successful entrepreneurs have, is because we have this like, yeah, I got it covered. I'll figure it out. I don't like, you told me not to dabble in all these 17 different forms of marketing, but like, I'm smart and you're clearly an idiot. Like I'll figure it out. Right. So I made probably every mistake in the book. I think that if I had to boil it down to some of the biggest things, some of the biggest mistakes that we had made, it was really just not sticking to one thing and perfecting it before trying to add something else on. So what I mean by that is specifically relates to marketing. So wholesaling is really not even a real estate business. It's a marketing and sales business. So we're constantly marketing to get in front of what we hope to be motivated sellers. So we're typically targeting lists that are likely to have some sort of distress, in the assumption that somebody in distress will be motivated. It doesn't always work like that. We've run into people that are about to lose their house to tax sale in 3 days that could not be less motivated. It happens.
Sure.
Like distress does not equal motivation, and motivation does not always equal distress, which I had to learn along the way. But so, initially we had done a little bit of direct mail and a little bit of bandit signs and a little bit of cold calling and ringless voicemail and SMS text messaging and trying to do SEO. And what happened was we really just wound up spreading ourselves too thin, and we didn't allow ourselves to really master any one of those marketing channels. So what we do right now is we focus on direct mail, ringless voicemail, and we recently started doing some cold calling again. But we had to like turn off all those other channels and say, okay, let's really look at what the data is telling us. So we know now if we send out X amount of mailers, that's going to generate Y amount of inbound leads, which as you work your way down, it's just a funnel. right? But if you're dabbling in this channel and then this channel and then this channel, you don't have enough data to really know what your numbers are. And so you're constantly like blind throwing darts. And so that was a huge benefit for us, was just sticking to one thing, figuring out the KPIs, and then you just reverse engineer, right? It just becomes a algebra 1 equation. It's not like, you don't have to be great at math. This is like 7th grade math to figure this out. You know, if I want to make X and I know that each deal makes me Y, whatever, I don't know.
Right.
That's how you figure it out. And so that's really what we wound up doing. And then it's just a matter of systemizing those things. I'm not really a great system person by nature. I really, every time it was time to try to systemize something, I would get like creative avoidance. And I would come up with all these other things that were bigger priorities that I would then justify in my mind as to why I needed to do this right now instead of the systems, because I don't naturally like it. So once I kind of forced myself to do that, and then build out some systems around it and then delegate those systems out, those were some of the really big things that got us to the point. So we have 2 virtual assistants that basically run our entire marketing. I'm really just, hey, where are we at with leads? Do we have enough? Do I need to buy another list? Like, what's that look like? But they're the ones that they manage the lists. They put the direct mail stuff together. They're doing the ringless voicemail stuff. I don't even touch that stuff.
Okay, that's awesome. So you got other people. So you're leveraging other people's time and energy and skill set to do that, right? So it's like now you've got, instead of you just working 40 hours a week, you've got 2 other people working 40 hours a week. So it's like you're working 80 hours a week, getting double the work done with less time to do it.
Yep. Yeah. And it's funny because I see he has another question here. But Sakit or Saket, I'm not sure. Sorry if I'm butchering your name here. But he had mentioned it's ego, right? So I think one thing that people get stuck in is like, oh, nobody's going to do it like as good as I'm going to do it, right? Which is such a ridiculous, egotistical thing to think that nobody can do something as good as you can, right?
Right.
But even if it's true, the goal isn't for you to do everything in your business. At least not the way I want to run my business. I want my business to serve me. I don't want to be a slave to this thing that I've created. Right. I want to be able to take vacation for 3 months and know that revenue is still going to come in. So, okay, Mr. W. Okay, cool. I got it. Whatchamacallit? So even if it's right and somebody that you hire can only do 70% of what you're able to do, it frees up so much additional time for you to do other things.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So just hire 2 people and then you're at 140% of what you can do and you don't have to do it.
That's right. There's a saying, 80% is good enough. Right. And like you said, for someone to think that people can't do better than them, I'm just the opposite. I'm going, who can I bring on my team that can do this way better than me?
Yeah.
Right. Because Lord knows I'm not the sharpest tool in the toolbox. Right. I'm not the shiniest penny in the collection. I need people around me. Right. I want to surround myself with people that are better at marketing, that are better at sales, that are better at underwriting, better at, investor relations, better at doing all these things than I am, so that they can do all that. And then all we have to do is kind of manage them, make sure everything is running smoothly. Right. Then you can free up your time and you can go and play with your newborn kid, hang out with the wife, hang out with the kids, travel, do whatever it is you want to do. And that, to me, is the true definition of wealth. Right. Being able to do what you want with your time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's important that people realize that doesn't happen overnight. Right. So I think a lot of people have this really bad, this really, really damaging misconception of what being a business owner and an entrepreneur is really like. A lot of people see the end result. They see the successful entrepreneur. They see the Elons of the world, and they think that he just rolled out of bed that way. If you hear him talk, he talks about the years of sacrifice and struggle and working 18-hour days. And he's even said on social recently that, he still works like 18 hours a day.
Sure.
So, people think that it's going to be like that and it happens overnight. It doesn't, but it doesn't really matter how long it takes. I'm 7 years in and really kind of, I feel like just now starting to get to the point where I can see a light at the end of the tunnel in one of those businesses. And I am a glutton for punishment. Apparently I decided to run too. Right. But so it doesn't happen overnight, and people have to be okay with the fact that they may struggle. Like, you may be eating ramen noodles a lot for like a year or two in there, and you may have to work 16, 18-hour days to figure it out. But as long as you get to that point, to me, even if it took me 20 years to get to that point, if I started at 30 and by 50 I can be like, okay, cool, that's still 15 years ahead of what the typical person is dealing with.
Sure.
And that's assuming that
you're building your empire.
Yep.
You're not doing it for somebody else. You're doing it for you.
Exactly.
Right? Let's look at what Mr. W, let's look at his question. He goes, what different ways do you handle day-to-day operations of multifamily?
So we hire third-party property managers always. So even like I still own, I mentioned I had 18 doors. I still have 11. I've sold off several of them. I have a third-party property manager for those properties. Our multifamily deals, we've closed 3 since September of 2019. A 92 unit, a 48 unit, and a 64 unit most recently. Actually, Nitzan, you're very familiar with it, right? We partnered up on that deal. That was just last month in Charlotte. And in every one of those instances, we have a third-party professional property management company. Now, they're different companies that are going to manage a single family versus are going to manage a multifamily property, and we really, really, really vet our property managers. I mean, especially on the multifamily side, a property manager can make or break your deal, whether it's a single family or whether it's, a 500 unit apartment complex. So you've got to make sure you're really doing your due diligence and you're asking all the questions to make sure that you know how they're going to handle things. The questions, the due diligence becomes a lot more detailed in the bigger properties. We have like a 90 question interview that we put a property manager through before we hire them. I'm not going to Google normally either to search for professional property management companies. We're generally having them referred to us by other professionals in the industry, whether it's the commercial real estate broker, whether it's a mortgage broker. We're looking for recommendations from people who have had good experiences before.
Sure, that's one of the best ways to find. It cuts the learning curve, because like you said, if you put a bad property management company or bad property manager on your property, they can drive that property down to the ground within 3 months, and then you're kind of left with a property that could have been successful, could have been a good property, with a piece of junk right now because that person that was running it didn't know what they were doing. Right. So yeah, you got to be careful, day to day. And even though, right. So, even though we have a third party management company, we speak to them daily almost. Right. And we have our MMR report, which is a Monday morning report, which is a very detailed report that every property manager fills out and sends to us Sunday night so that we can review Monday, so that we can get on the call and go over exactly what's going on. You don't want to wait a month or 2 months to figure out something's wrong, because by that time it's too late. You're already too deep into that problem, where you could have cut it off easily a week into it rather than 3-4 weeks into it. Mr. W has another question. Does the check come in the property management name? Which check? Are you talking about the rental checks? Or which checks are you talking about? He's got another one. He goes, how does the property management withdraw its fees and expenses for the property? Well, you want to answer that?
Yeah, so everything goes into an operating account, right? And then everything is handled from there. I personally don't handle that side of the business for our company. So, if you're out there and you're listening to this, and you're thinking that you're going to do, a lot of large multifamily properties by yourself, you can. I'm find that I'm good at certain things and I'm not good at other things. So Nitzan had mentioned I'm one of 3 Oaks. I have 2 business partners. So I'm really on the investor relations side of things. I am essentially the face of our business from a branding and from a marketing perspective. So, if somebody is interested in potentially passively investing in one of our deals with us, I'm the person that they're going to talk to. I do not handle the asset management. So I am on a lot of those weekly phone calls that we have with our property manager, but I'm not in the weeds, Mr. W, as to what's happening there at the property level on a regular basis. I'm more of like, some crap hit the fan and we need to figure out some problem solving, right? That's me. I'm more of like, I consider myself to be more of a visionary. If you're familiar with the book Traction and Gino Wickman, that's kind of the value that I'm able to bring. My partner Charles would be able to answer that question in and out. So Nitzan, you may have a better understanding of how that all works.
Sure. Yeah. Well, the property management company opens up a specific bank account for your property. It's the operating account, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Rent is being deposited into that account, and all the expenses for the property are being deducted and paid from that operating account. And when there's money left over, then the property manager swipes that account, wires the funds into our holding account, right? And then we distribute those funds to our investors on a quarterly basis. So that's how they do it. They do it at the end of the month. They take their fees out at the end of the month once they have all the collections for that month. And they say, okay, this is how much we've collected. This was the gross amount. And then they deduct it and then they calculate their fees and they take it. Usually, depending on the size of the property, right? If you're doing an under 50 unit property, there'll be a set fee, right? They'll say maybe $3,000 or $4,000. Or it'll be a minimum of $3,000, and then if there's income that is greater, then they'll take the greater of that $3,000. Above 50 units, there's usually a 3 or 4% fee. Sometimes in the smaller units, that fee might be even higher. And if it's not a set fee, it could be a 7% management fee or an 8% management fee. You want to be careful though, because when you're underwriting it and you're presenting it to your lender to get the loan, the lender will look at your underwriting and they'll say, wow, you're paying a lot for your management fees. We're not going to cut that. We're not going to loan you money because your fees are too high. You need to drop that down. So you got to be careful as well with the amount of money that you're paying to your management company, okay? Because the lender always wants to make sure that there's enough money to pay the debt. And if you're paying a lot out to the management company, there might not be enough to pay the debt. So you want to keep a close eye on that, right? So you were talking about 3 Oaks Management, right? So 3 Oaks is your multifamily syndication business, which you said you founded that 3 years ago, right? How did you pick your team members for that?
That's a really good question. It's a really, really important thing for anybody out there that is thinking about going into business with somebody else or having a partner. I think naturally we're drawn to people that we have similarities with, right? Similar personalities. But a lot of times if you have a really similar personality with somebody, you have a lot of similar strengths and weaknesses. So, if you are like a type A person or for those of your listeners that are familiar with like the DISC profile, which is a personality assessment that, Tony Robbins loves, right? And you can actually get it for free on his website. But so I am super high on D, right? I am a driver. And so I don't work really well from like a business partnership perspective with other drivers because we have the same strengths. It means we have the same weaknesses. So my partner in my wholesaling business, We're great friends. We both have a lot of that D driver in us, which I think if I had picked a business partner that had strengths to offset my weaknesses, we'd probably be further in that business than we are right now, because the same stuff that I don't want to do, he doesn't want to do either. But through that experience, Nitzan, I learned that in looking for a partner, you have to find that yin to your yang, right? Mm-hmm. So Charles is one of my three partners, and I think that he is totally opposite from me in a lot of instances. Charles is like a numbers guy. I want to throw up. That's it's an exaggeration. But I don't want to sit and play in spreadsheets. I can do it if I need to, but I don't want to. And so that's something that's really important for people to understand, because if you don't like doing something, you will inevitably have creative avoidance. You will find other things that you like doing, and you will justify it in your own mind and convince yourself. We're really good at doing this as people, convincing ourselves that we should be doing something that we shouldn't be doing, right? So I saw that in Charles. Our third partner is my dad, actually, Wayne. He and I have been doing real estate together for years now. So we had wanted to do business together for forever, and this was a really great fit. He was kind of winding down his 9-to-5. He had been a CFO and CPA. As I mentioned, I'm really marketing, investor relations. That's me. Charles handles the acquisitions, as well as the asset management. And then my dad, Wayne, does the accounting, takes care of the books, the budgeting, and then he's also the final review of all of our underwriting. So we feel like we've got a lot of the boxes checked here. One of us is good at basically any of those items, and so we've designated and designed the roles to line up with what we are all good at.
Mm-hmm. So that's great. That's great information, and it's funny because my business partner and I, Laura, who you know, right? We're kind of the same way. I'm kind of like you, right? I'm the driven guy. I'm the face. I'm the guy that's doing the shows, right? That's got the whole thing out there. I can do spreadsheets just like you. I'm not saying I'm an idiot or whatnot. I can do spreadsheets. I can underwrite a property. I can do all that. I don't like to do that. I will procrastinate doing that. So I found myself a business partner who has a double master's in economics. Well, that says it right there. She loves numbers. She loves spreadsheets. And not only that, but she can work a spreadsheet like nobody's business, right? She put together our business model, our spreadsheet for underwriting. And I'm like, that just blows me away. And, this sheet connects to that sheet, connects to that. So you click on a button over here and it'll transform these numbers and it'll do all these different things. And it just blows my mind how somebody can actually sit down and just do that work. I call that ant work, like little tiny ants, just that little detail drives me bonkers, right? I'm the big picture kind of person, right?
Yeah, dude, me too. It's like your Yoda. They're like Jedi master spreadsheet worker, and I'm like, they're like incantates, and I'm like, what? I'm trying, hey, how do I do this with the spreadsheet? I want to separate the information in the cells, and like I'm banging my head against the wall. Oh yeah, it's this thing and this formula, and I'm like, okay.
Right? It blows my mind. It's like, how did you learn to do that? And Wendy says, oh, come on, spreadsheets are fun. They are fun.
For some people.
If you like doing them, right?
Well, it's like, because some people, okay, my dad, right, would never want to get on something like this. Like, you want me to be the face of the company? Like, no, I have no interest in doing that. No, I'm not doing that. Forget it.
Right. Exactly. So when finding your partner, right, it's always good to take inventory of yourself first, right? Finding out what you like to do. That's key. What do I like to do? Forget what I'm good at. What am I not good at? What do I like to do, right? What part of the business do I want to be involved in? Then you can say, well, am I good at that? okay, well, you know what? I'm not that good at it. So maybe I should find something that I'm good at doing and get really good at it and start enjoying it. Right. And then find out what other pieces of the puzzle you're missing and go out and find those people that can fill in those gaps for you. And then you have a nice, strong company, a business, a team that you can really move forward with, and know that nothing is going to fall through the gaps. Laura, my partner, she'll read the there's the disc assessment. There you go.
There
Perfect.
it is.
She'll read the PPMs. She'll read the subscription agreement. She's like, well, there's a dot missing on the I, and that word was missing, and we need to do this. I'm going, wow, I totally missed that. She'll send me a contract. Hey, I just want you to review it. Really? You want me to review a contract? I'll read it. I'll make a couple of notes, but I think you're the one that's going to read it. I'm the one that's, let's paint the picture. Let's move the team in this direction. Let's do the interviews. Let's do all that. So it's really important to have a well-balanced team so that your business and your company is well-balanced and not, heavily sided to one way or the other.
Yep.
Okay? So you saw your business, you got into the wholesaling, then you moved into multifamily, you spent money on education. How important is it to get educated?
So I think it's super important. I think having a mentor is really important too. Discipline is a learned thing, I think, for a lot of us, right? We're all capable of being disciplined, but we're also all capable of being really lazy and letting all discipline go out the window, right? One thing about being self-employed, running your own company, is that you don't really have anybody to answer to, especially if you are a one-man or one-woman show. You literally have nobody to answer to, maybe a spouse or family or something, right? Mentors, I think, are really great in helping you understand what you may not be, where you may be lacking in your game at any present moment in time, and help give you direction on how you can improve. But I think education is incredibly important. And I think that if you're looking to do something, there's a lot of free information out there, YouTube University, right? If I wanted to start a t-shirt company, I'm pretty sure I could figure out 80% of it from a Google search and from YouTube, right? But what you're going to lack and what you're going to miss in a lot of those instances, you're going to get the general information, but you're going to miss the details, the nuanced details that you need to be aware of. And so, just like anything, I think you get what you pay for to a certain extent, right? If you're going to pay for an education program, you're going to pay for a mentor, the objective should not be, I want to find the cheapest one and I want to go with them. But you also can't assume that the most expensive is going to be the best either. You need to interview some people, you need to talk to some people, you need to do some research before you decide what you want to move forward with. The multifamily education program that I bought into, I would totally recommend to other people. I got a ton of value out of that. I can't say the same thing for the house flipping guru program that I went to. I can say that investment was one of the things that led to me being in the industry and making a business out of real estate. That was a step in the process. Right. I don't know that I got my value out of that one, where I do think I got my value out of the multifamily one. But for the folks out there that are sitting there thinking, okay, great, get a mentor, and you're going to now go out and search for a mentor. Don't just assume that because somebody has had success in a space that they are like chomping at the bit to be your mentor. And please don't assume that somebody is going to mentor you for free. It doesn't matter how successful they are. If they're super successful, I can tell you that there's about a 99.7% chance that they will not mentor you for free.
Sure.
Because they value their time, and their time is their most valuable resource, especially if they have money, right? They could lose money, they could make money. It's money, like whatever. But you can never get your time back. So, if you're going to reach out to somebody looking for mentorship, be ready to compensate them for their time, or be prepared to deliver some sort of value to them, right? If they're mentoring you, they're delivering immense value to you. So don't assume that you can just like show up,
right,
and deliver and deliver no value back.
Absolutely. All right, so we got a few minutes left. So if someone was to get started today in multifamily, wholesaling, something, what do you think their first steps should be? Right, we talked about getting educated, right? So getting educated, learning the ins and outs of the business, getting a mentor. What else would they do? Where else would they go?
So I think that number one, they would need to pick a lane. So I screwed this up a lot when I first got started. I would get started in real estate and I would realize, like, holy crap, this is hard and this is a lot of work. Maybe there's an easier path to take. The answer to that is no, right? If you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to make a career out of real estate investing, be prepared to take your lumps, and it's going to be hard. And be prepared for it. So I think you had mentioned shiny pennies, right? Like I call that shiny object syndrome. Like, so pick whatever avenue you want to pursue in real estate. You can be very successful in any of them. Just pick it and stick to it. Okay. So that's number one. Number two is, do not expect that you are going to know everything about everything before you can do take any action, right? You are going to need to learn and get comfortable with taking what another mentor of mine refers to as imperfect action. Get ready to get out there, be okay looking silly, be okay making mistakes, be okay taking your lumps. You will learn from that. The best education is action and experience.
Absolutely.
So I know so many people that get stuck in this, what do they call it? Analysis paralysis. Oh, I've got to make sure that it's perfect before I take action. Like, that's never going to happen. It's never going to be perfect. Take action now.
Absolutely. Action is key. You can have all the knowledge, all the wisdom, all the tools, but if you're never going to take that hammer and nail that nail into the first piece of wood, you're never going to do anything.
Yep.
And I like that, imperfect action. Absolutely. Awesome. Adam, how can people find you?
So I'm tapped out on Facebook.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, that was a subtle flex there, right? So Instagram is a great way to connect with me. I am at realestateadam7. Or you could get in touch with me via my email, which I have right there, adam@3oaksmanagement, or yeah, right, that's not even right. adam@3oaksmgmt.com.
Awesome. Hey, man, thank you so much for being on the show. I know you're busy. You've got a newborn. You've got your wife. You got 2 businesses that you're running. I want to thank you so much for being here. You gave us some really good information. I know our listeners and people that we know have gotten a lot of good content from this, and I look forward to doing more deals together.
Absolutely. So do I.
And guys, next live stream is going to be March 25th, and we've got Yaakov Smart. He's the author of Disrupting LinkedIn. He's going to show you how you can get people from LinkedIn and how you can make money on it. I'm also continuing my BOGO, my buy one, get one for my group coaching. It's happening now. Okay. You get 2 months of group coaching, which happens on Fridays. We get to call in and you get to ask me questions, all for $36 for 2 months. That's 8 sessions for $36. It's like $4 and change. And the information, just like today, is going to be worth millions to you. And I've also got running my $7 perfect money raising system. So for $7, you're going to get the system that I use to raise money from other people for all of my deals, just like Adam does as well. And I've got my 6-week master course. So hit us up. Let us know if you want. You can always go to my YouTube channel, okay, The Traveling Investor. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, all those good platforms. Once again, Adam, thank you so much for being on the show. Thanks to everybody that was asking questions, and we'll see you next week, and Master Yoda as well. So take care, stay tuned, be well, and I'll see you somewhere on Spaceship Earth.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for having me, Nitzan. It was fun.
You got it. Thank you. Bye-bye.